My husband, he's been skydiving before and he is just dying to get me up there in a plane. That's just terrifying to me. So there are limits to my bravery so far, but I do think...
If this video gets 1,000 likes, you'll go skydiving? Is that what you're saying?
There may be some ways to persuade me to that. Welcome to the podcast with Kilee Nichols. I'm Kilee, founder and CEO of the life-changing accessories brand Nickel & Suede and the successful style blog One Little Mama. I made the unlikely transition from stay-at-home mom to founder and entrepreneur. It takes a lot of courage to make a change like that, but I love the growth and the confidence that's come from stepping out of my comfort zone. This is the podcast for people who want to be inspired to be brave, to take a chance, and to change their life. I'll be sharing stories and actionable takeaways about working with your spouse, being a working mom, starting and growing a business, confidence, motivation, and more. So get ready to get inspired and to get started with Kilee Nichols. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm Kilee and you are with Kilee Nichols. Happy Friday. I am ready to talk about something that is a little bit near and dear to me. It's great for January, and if you were tuning in last week, we talked about goals, we talked about setting up the new year, and if you're ready for a year of progress, if you're ready for a year of stretch, if you're ready for a year of, stepping outside of your comfort zone, you're going to be stepping into a little bit of discomfort. You're going to be setting yourself up for some acts of courage and some bravery. So as I was been thinking about that and reading some books and listening to some books, I've been listening to Marie Forleo's book this week. I've been thinking about bravery. So wanted to think and talk about what does being brave feel like this week. And the word brave is kind of a buzzword right now. It's a buzzword. It's one of my favorite words. And brave to me is a word that's kind of a noble word. It's a word that seems like a little bit shiny. It's a buttoned up, like a little suit of armor. We just got a puppy for Christmas and he is so cute. And his Instagram handle is Samson the Brave One. And I just think brave is it's just a handsome word, and just like my handsome puppy. And so to me, it's like a feel-good word. But as I was scrolling the Instagram the other day and I saw a quote and it said, "Brave does not feel good." And it basically said brave feels awkward, brave feels uncomfortable, brave feels sick to your stomach, brave feels like putting yourself in a really uncomfortable situation. And that actually resonated, and I said, holy cow, that is so true. And so I kind of wanted to explore that thought a little bit, because if we're going into this new year of setting goals, like I said, and going after stretch, going after awesome things, and you're setting out these goals and you're saying, okay, how do I know if I've achieved these goals? How do I know if I'm making progress to them? If you want to know if you're making progress, you kind of have to have these markers. You kind of have to have a way of knowing if you're on your way. And sometimes one way to have a marker is to know, hey, does it feel? Is a feeling letting me know that I'm on my way? So do I feel like I'm on my way? Am I uncomfortable? Do I feel this feeling of bravery? And so I loved the idea of realizing that bravery doesn't feel like we think it does. Bravery doesn't feel like I am this heroic figure of awesomeness. So I was talking to Derek, my producer, about this beforehand. And Derek, what did you think when I was, explaining this?
I am ready to go skydiving, and we are going to make some awesome content with that, right? So when should we schedule the skydiving?
What?
Yeah. I think we need to get you up in a plane and jump out. So
because bravery is terrifying, you're saying.
Yeah, John Wayne gave that good quote. Do you remember what it was? I think we looked it up. But
yeah, it was like bravery is being terrified and saddling up anyways, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Soren, my husband, he's been skydiving before and he is just dying to get me up there in a plane. And that's just terrifying to me. So there are limits to my bravery so far, but I do think
if this video gets 1,000 likes, you'll go skydiving. Is that what you're saying?
There may be some ways to persuade me to that, but
you heard it here first.
Yeah, I just, there's some part of me that feels like I'll get to this level of, I'm a certain level of brave, and so then I'll be comfortable with being brave, and that it won't be scary anymore. But so when I started this podcast, an unintended side effect is that I started getting asked to speak in public, and I pretty quickly got asked to speak in several different places. And I started the podcast because I wanted to be able to share a message and to be able to talk to more people and share our brand and share a message about being brave and stepping outside your comfort zone. And so I said yes to some of these events, even though it made me really nervous. And but I knew that if I didn't say yes, then I would never get the opportunity to strengthen that weakness. And so, but I thought, okay, you know what? I do a podcast every week, so certainly this couldn't be that scary. It couldn't be that hard. The more I practice podcasting, the more that I'll get better at public speaking. But I said yes to one in December, and I got ready for it. I practiced for it, and oh my goodness, I was so nervous and so uncomfortable and so scary. And it didn't get any less scary the closer it got and the more I practiced. And I went down there, and it was such an uncomfortable experience, the entire thing. It didn't get any less comfortable. But I guess I know that was me stretching, and that was me going outside of my comfort zone. That was me being brave. Like, I literally was so brave the entire time, like the bravest I've ever been, because I have never been more scared. Like, driving down there the entire way, like the entire experience was so scary. But that was me being incredibly brave because I was so scared, and I did it anyways.
What were you most scared of?
I think
because you get on your Instagram stories and you're being viewed by,
right?
Tons of people. So
it's true.
What were you most scared of?
It was an out-of-town speaking engagement, and it was the first time I was getting paid to speak. One of the first times I was being paid. I've been paid for lots of different things. Like, I get paid to write things on my blog. I get paid for lots of different things. But I hyped it up in my mind as something that it was, I needed to do a certain level of, I just needed to give some kind of a motivational thing. And it was in December, and I was so exhausted, and so I didn't feel like I had anything to give. I was so burned out, and so I didn't feel like I had anything to give. And so when I showed up, I just felt like I can't motivate or inspire. And when I got on stage, I was really distracted by all the people in the room. And I realized, oh my goodness, public speaking is so different than podcasting in a room with just Derek. And it just was really different. And I kind of froze. And I think I did a lot better than I actually did. You know what I mean? Like, you're harder on yourself than you think you.
I remember my public speaking classes at college. They say, like, what you feel you did, it comes off a lot better than what you feel inside. So
yeah, yeah. But
I knew two people that went to that. Actually, I did some video work for them, and they were so excited to meet you and everything. So it's good that you did that.
Right. So it was just So it was great. It was fine, but it was a test of my bravery for sure. So and then just thinking, like, I almost didn't want to go, but I'm glad I did it anyways. So I pushed through that fear. So just fear can be really paralyzing, I think. And Derek and I were talking before about how paralyzing fear can be, and how we can really psych ourselves up and psych ourselves out of doing something because we're so scared of it. And so something as simple, not even really scared of it, but like how hard it is just to like go to the gym, or to do something and to put it off the entire day and not do it. But it's so simple to just get in the car and go somewhere and just get it done. And so the only way through being afraid of something is to just do it. So back to Marie Forleo's book that I've been listening to, she was talking about how like the only way past fear is through it. And another really difficult thing that I had to do in the last couple of months was I had to let somebody go for the first time. And that decision was something that took weeks. And the difficulty for the days leading up to it was so long, but the actual act of doing it just took minutes. And the fear to make a decision can take so long when really the decision you need to make versus just doing it can take seconds or minutes. And so the only way really to get through the fear of doing something is really to just make the choice and do it. And then you're past it.
You did some research before firing, right? Like, I mean, you could be the nicest boss in the world, but, eventually firing someone is part of running a business. So did you research like the right way to let someone go?
Yes. And I think trying to do things the right way takes talking to advisors, and we have done so much of that learning over the last 6 months. And I think that can take the fear out of things too, is having a mentor and having advisors. And so that's helped a lot with fear in being a boss and in making choices in the business, is having a mentor and having an advisor that can help say, you know what, this is the right way to handle a situation. This is the right way to talk to somebody. This is the right way to deliver good or bad news to somebody. And that has helped, I think, reassure through difficult and like scary situations, and kind of add some courage to difficult choices. So that's helped. And then another thing about, I think, courage and fear is that I've learned recently is that fear can be an indicator that you're onto something and that you're going in the right direction. And that it doesn't mean you should run from it. Sometimes that means you should run to something. Sometimes that means that you're going in the right direction and you should follow it and see where it's taking you, where it leads you. Having a retail business for our family, for our line of work, gets really busy at the end of the year. And I tend to overcommit myself and get really exhausted. And so like I had that speaking engagement at the end of the year, and part of why I didn't feel like I was successful at it was that I was totally burned out and exhausted. And I wasn't really feeling very healthy mentally. And I didn't really feel like I had much inspiration or positive things to share. And we had let people go. We were feeling short-staffed. I was feeling really overworked. And I have a blog. I have this podcast. I have social media places that I try to have a lot of uplifting things to share. And I really felt like I had to shut down towards the end of the year. I took time off the podcast, and it was hard for me because I felt like I'm the inspiration. I'm the source of all these good things for my company, for my family, for my, all the people who follow me. And I have nothing to give because I'm just like this shell of a person. And I really am living in fear and in just like, I have nothing. And I'm still kind of living that right now. Like, we are still kind of short-staffed right now. I'm still doing quite a few people's jobs. I was doing flat lays this morning because I'm still doing several people's jobs. And that's been a really big struggle for me because I'm not doing the parts of the job that I love. I'm doing just a lot of different jobs. So why am I sharing that? Partly because I don't know, there's nothing really I can do without just kind of putting it all on the table. Like I have to be authentic and I have to share. And I've been struggling with a lot of highs and lows lately. I've recently needed to take a step back and say, okay, what am I doing for my mental health? What am I doing for my mental space to feel like I'm taking care of me and able to get back to being inspiring, able to get back to being confident and able to share positive, uplifting things. I always want to be able to share reality, but if reality is always down in the dumps, like I don't think I can keep, like nobody wants to hear that week after week after week. And I don't want to keep living that week after week after week. So, I guess I can say, bravery feels like right now, sharing like authentically right now, things are hard and I'm carrying a lot of different people's jobs and I'm just kind of sucking it up and doing them and feeling a little bit underwater, but I'm also trying to find my way out, and that's asking for help. That's hiring a life coach. I've hired a coach to help me with confidence and with leadership. I've also listening to books that are kind of shaking that out of me a little bit. Like I said, I'm listening to Marie's book right now that says everything's figure outable, and I really do believe that's true. And I think doing the next right thing, like that's totally from Frozen 2, if you have kids and you watch that movie. But the next right thing for me is, okay, I'm going to stay consistent with the podcast. I'm going to keep recording and I'm going to find something positive to share. There are positive things happening all around me every day, and that is something that I can find. And I'm going to keep choosing to be brave, and brave is uncomfortable. And it's going to be uncomfortable to have a growing business, but it's also so lucky to have a business to grow. So I think there's a lot to share in the mess. There's always going to be so much to share in the mess, and just going to have to keep having the courage to share the mess. So I've been thinking, you know what, it's easier to be overwhelmed, and I'm going to choose to do something about it instead of stay overwhelmed. So I think New Year's is a great fresh start, but I love the idea of continuing to work on goals, whether they're brand new this year or they came from last year's list too. So I have goals from last year that I didn't check off, and I'm just going to move them onto this year's list and continue to work away at them. And maybe I'll accomplish them this month. Maybe they'll move to next year's list too. But I love the idea of continuing to just work on goals. And if they were important last year, they're going to be important to me this year too. So brave, what does brave look like for this year, for me, for our family? I said we got a dog this year. Brave has recently looked like adding a puppy to our family. We've never had a dog before, and so I felt like for some reason a puppy would be a great addition to the stress level that I've been feeling over the holidays. And it actually, I do think, will be a great stress relief, although the puppy, newborn up at night and the nipping at our ankles and all that has been an added stress at the moment. But I do think he's just so cute and has been so fun added to the family. But adding a dog has been a brave thing for us. We're also, we're going to be hiring this year. We're going to be opening a store in Dallas this year. We're looking at opening another store in Kansas City this year. And we're really going to be going after the things that we still have on our list from last year. And I think just the things that scared me last year, I still have to tackle them this year. And I think that's what life's about. I think the things that we didn't tackle yet, we still have to face and we still have to go after. And I, haven't skydived yet. Soren will probably never let me live it down until I do. And apparently Derek won't either, because now if 1,000 people like this video, I have to go skydiving or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there are just things that we, if we don't face them, they will follow us. And so that's what brave feels like, looking those things in the face and getting through them and choosing to just push through them, and then they're behind us. And so you do the next thing, you push through it, then there's going to be another thing in front of you. But you can look back and you say, okay, look, the stuff's behind me and I pushed through that, I can push through the next thing. And so you see that indicator in front of you, like, oh my goodness, that looks scary, but I can see what was behind me. I saw what I pushed through already. I'm going to push through those things in front of me because they're in front, and they're in front of the thing that I want to get to. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to push through and I'm going to make it to the destination that is for me. And so I guess that's me committing to the next year, the next year of fear, the next year of being brave, the next year of an anxious stomach, the next year of discomfort. But that's because I want to get places, and I want to make it through all the things that I didn't make it through last year, and the list of goals that I've put ahead of myself for this coming year. And I want you to too. So look at your list of goals and consider the fact that they're going to be uncomfortable to stretch for that, but you can do it too. I'd love to hear what brave feels like for you. Is it sick? Is it overwhelm? Is it exhilaration? Is it clammy? There's, I think, so many different feelings that kind of go into that nervous, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. So I would love to hear comments. Leave a review on this podcast. Remember, you can watch this on YouTube as well. And we'll be back next week, and we'll see you next Friday. Thanks. Thanks for listening today to With Kilee Nichols. Stay tuned next week for another episode. And if you can't wait until then, you can find me at onelittlemama.com, MOMMA, for beauty, our family, style tips, and more. And you can find my business at nicolandswade.com with the and spelled out. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.